Okay, so have you ever had like that moment when you're reading something and it just clicks?
Mm.
Like you're not just getting the words, but it's like really resonating with you on a deeper level,
Yeah,
like more than just some abstract understanding.
definitely.
Well, today we're going to explore that feeling
Okay.
and why it might be way more profound than we think.
Sounds good.
So we're diving into this fascinating idea
Okay.
of embodied cognition
Okay.
and how it relates to how we understand what we read.
I like it.
So basically,
Yeah.
we're looking at the work of Mark Sadowski
Hmm.
and others who are really challenging that traditional view of how our minds work when we're processing written information.
Yeah.
It's not just about manipulating these abstract symbols in our heads,
Right.
but that our cognitive activity is fundamentally tied to our senses,
Mm-hmm.
like how we experience the world physically.
Exactly.
That's like our whole body is involved in understanding what we read.
It's not just happening in your head. It's your whole being.
And for this deep dive, we'll be focusing mainly on Mark Sadowski's 2018 review article.
Okay.
It's called Reading Comprehension is Embodied, Theoretical and Practical Considerations.
Okay.
So that's really going to be our main source for today.
Pretty sense.
And we really want to unpack this theory for you
Yeah.
and see how it might actually explain some of your own experiences with reading and learning.
It's fascinating stuff.
So we're hoping this deep dive will give you some brand new insights
Yeah.
into how all of us make sense of the written word.
Totally. And, this is a really important area to explore because, actually improving reading comprehension has been a surprisingly persistent challenge.
So why is it so tough to improve reading comprehension?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like researchers and educators have spent decades
They have.
trying to understand it, develop better teaching methods.
Right.
You'd think there'd be some like huge breakthrough by now.
Right.
Like a magic bullet.
Right. Well, it's more complex than that.
Yeah.
When you look at the actual data, it paints a different picture.
Okay.
Like Sadowski's review highlights some pretty sobering statistics.
Okay.
For example, the NAEP.
The National Assessment of Educational Progress.
Yeah, those long-term tests for 17-year-olds in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, their scores have shown basically zero improvement since 1971.
Whoa. That's a really long time.
It is.
So like almost 50 years of research and effort hasn't really changed how well older teenagers understand what they read.
At least not according to that particular measure.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
So what about younger students?
A younger student?
Have they seen improvements?
There have been some small increases for 9 and 13-year-olds on the NAEP long-term trend assessments.
Okay.
And we've also seen modest gains on the main NAEP for grades 4 and 8 compared to 1992.
Okay.
But then you look at 12th graders in 2015,
Yeah.
and their scores actually went down slightly,
Oh, wow.
which is statistically significant even though it's a small decrease.
So it's not all going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a very mixed bag.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the PRLs...
The Progress in International Reading Literacy Study.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
gives us a global perspective.
Yeah.
And from 2001 to 2011,
Yeah.
some countries did see their 4th grade reading comprehension scores go up,
Okay.
but others actually saw decreases.
Wow.
And a whole bunch didn't really change much at all. So
Yeah.
it's not like there's this universal trend of
Right.
improvement.
So it sounds like even with all the different strategies and programs out there,
Right.
we haven't found that one-size-fits-all solution.
We haven't found the silver bullet.
Yeah, and what's even more interesting is that this lack of progress is even happening despite all the research on things like phonics and fluency.
It really is.
Like those really basic skills.
Yeah,
So it makes you wonder
it does.
if maybe we need a totally different approach.
Yeah.
Like maybe our basic assumptions about reading comprehension are a bit off.
Exactly. And that's where embodied cognition comes in.
Okay.
It offers a new way to look at this.
All right, so let's dive into this idea of embodied cognition then.
Let's do it.
Since it's a different way of thinking about this problem.
Totally.
And you mentioned it kind of gained traction in the late 90s. So what is it exactly?
So the core idea
Yeah.
is that cognition isn't just something that happens in your brain.
Okay.
It's not isolated up there the way we think.
Yeah.
It comes from our interactions with the world.
Okay.
Our bodily interactions.
So our senses.
Our senses, our movements, everything is intertwined.
So it's not just thinking with our brains.
It's our whole being.
Wow.
And that was articulated really well by Phelan and colleagues in 2001.
Okay.
They said that, your experiences of having a body with specific senses and the ability to move,
Yeah.
They're all connected to how you remember things,
Okay.
how you feel emotions, how you
Yeah.
use language,
Wow.
every part of your mental life.
Okay, so basically,
Yeah.
embodied cognition is saying that how we understand the world
Mm-hmm.
is deeply connected to having a body
Yes.
and to how our body interacts with the world.
That's the essence of it.
So in embodied cognition, mental representations,
Right.
the way we think about things,
Yeah.
they're not abstract and modal.
No.
So for our listeners, a modal means...
A modal means they're not in some universal code
Okay.
that's separate from our senses. It's not like computer language. It's
Yeah.
not just ones and zeros.
Totally.
So instead, they're modality specific.
Okay, what does that mean?
So what you see
Yeah.
is encoded in a way that's connected to your visual system.
Okay.
What you hear is tied to your auditory system.
So it's like each sense has its own way of processing information.
Exactly. And there's a direct link between how you perceive something and how you later remember it and think about it.
So it's not just our senses, though, right?
No, not just our senses.
It's also about our actions.
Absolutely, your actions. Even small movements you're not aware of, they're all part of this.
So give me an example.
Okay, so think about counting on your fingers.
Okay, yeah.
You might start by actually moving your finger.
Right.
But then you can just do little twitches, and eventually it becomes entirely mental.
You're just imagining the movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those motor programs are still involved.
Even though you're not physically moving.
Right.
So it's like my brain is still using those pathways, even if my fingers aren't actually moving.
Exactly. And the idea is that many of our abstract thoughts might actually be grounded in these sensorimotor processes.
But we're not aware of it.
In a sort of hidden way.
Okay, so this perspective, it's really challenging those traditional theories.
It is.
Where it's all about these abstract symbols.
Right, like computer code.
Yeah, in our heads.
Exactly.
So embodied cognition is saying.
Embodied cognition says there's no separate code that's divorced from our sensory experience.
So it's rejecting those ideas of
physicians.
schemata, nodes, modules, all those things.
All of those things.
Yeah, and this shift in thinking, it really came about because of growing evidence.
Yes.
From both how people behave and how their brains actually work.
And those abstract theories couldn't explain it.
Right.
They just didn't fit the data.
And the people who support embodied cognition, they feel pretty strongly about this.
They do.
I remember that quote by Glenn Burr.
Oh, yeah.
Where he said, "We are embodied, nothing more."
That's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah, it is.
And it gets to the heart of it.
So it's not just a minor tweak to existing theories.
It's a fundamental shift.
It's a whole different way of thinking about the mind.
Exactly. And this idea of embodied cognition versus disembodied abstract thought,
Yeah.
it has a long history.
Okay.
But it really took off in psychology around the late 90s.
Okay.
With publications by Glenberg, Barcelou.
Lakoff and Johnson.
Okay.
And, of course, the work of Sadowski and Paivio.
So they all kind of contributed to this movement.
They all played a part.
Yeah.
And even though they have slightly different approaches,
Okay.
they all reject those abstract ideas of propositions and schemata.
Okay, so let's talk about those abstract theories for a minute.
Okay.
Because they're kind of what embodied cognition is pushing back against.
Right.
So let's start with propositions.
All right, propositions.
What are they and why do they kind of fall short in explaining how we understand things from an embodied perspective?
Okay, so a mental proposition.
Yeah.
It's a really abstract concept.
Okay.
It's like a theoretical basic unit of meaning.
Okay.
And way back in philosophy, propositions were actual statements.
Okay.
You know, things that could be true or false.
Right.
Based on logic.
Like the sky is blue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But over time, they became more and more abstract, weaving into mathematical symbols.
And then computer code.
So it's getting further and further away from our actual experience of the world.
Exactly. It's like going from all humans are mortal to some complex equation or lines of code.
Which doesn't really resemble anything we encounter in our daily lives.
Not really.
So in cognitive theories, are these propositions still kind of like sentences in our minds?
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
They're more like the deep structure, the abstract meaning behind a sentence.
Okay.
So the same proposition could be expressed in different ways using different words.
Okay, so the meaning is separate from the words themselves.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
But here's the key point.
Yeah.
The proposition itself is supposed to exist in this abstract realm
Okay.
that's totally detached from our senses.
So it's not visual,
No.
not auditory,
Like
not
that.
anything we can actually experience.
It's just this abstract concept. And just like in philosophy, these propositions are supposed to be true or false.
Okay.
Like a switch on
Or
it.
off. Exactly.
Yeah.
But how do you get from that
Yeah.
to the richness of human experience?
Exactly.
That's the problem.
And how have researchers used these propositions to try and understand text analysis?
Right. So some non-computer-based systems
Okay.
were developed for analyzing text,
Okay.
like Kinch, for example.
Mm-hmm.
He proposed that propositions were like little idea units
Okay.
that capture the meaning of a sentence
Okay.
using this kind of shorthand
Yeah.
based on grammar.
So like a simple sentence.
Yeah.
Like a shark is a fish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would be represented as something like
Oh.
Isa,
Okay.
shark,
Mm-hmm.
a fish.
Okay.
Where Isa means is a type of.
Right.
And then you have the things being related.
The shark and the fish.
Right.
Yeah.
And the idea was
Mm-hmm.
that you could build up these propositions
right.
into a whole text space
Okay.
with micro-propositions.
For individual sentences.
Right.
And macro propositions.
Yeah.
For the overall meaning.
So it's like a hierarchical structure.
Exactly.
Meaning built from these basic units.
Yeah. But does that really reflect how we experience reading?
Right.
It's a good question.
Yeah, because when I'm reading a story,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking in terms of these abstract propositions.
And Kinch later added this idea
Okay.
of a situation model,
Okay.
which was supposed to be a mental representation of what's happening in the text.
Okay.
And it could even involve imagery.
Okay.
But it was never really clear
Yeah.
how this abstract propositional text space actually created those images.
Right, because you have this abstract level,
Mm,
and then somehow you have to get to these vivid mental pictures.
yeah, it's like a missing link.
Yeah.
And from a practical standpoint,
Mhm.
these propositional analyses
Yeah.
were just too complex
Okay.
and time-consuming.
Could really be useful.
Yeah, they were rarely used in
Okay.
studies of longer texts.
And then in artificial intelligence, propositions are even being represented as vectors
Right.
of numbers
Yeah.
in these complex mathematical systems.
Like LSA.
Latent semantic analysis.
Exactly.
So even further removed from our embodied experience.
Yeah, it's getting more and more abstract.
Okay, so propositions,
Mm.
they're these very abstract units of meaning
Mm-hmm.
that are hard to define
Yeah.
and maybe don't even explain how we get those mental images when we read.
Right.
What about schemata?
Schema.
That's another big one.
Yeah, another popular concept,
Yeah.
but often misunderstood.
Okay,
Even back in
yeah.
the 80s,
Mhm.
there were already questions about
Okay.
its definition
Mm.
and the evidence supporting it.
And those questions are still around today.
They are.
Okay.
So, like, propositions,
Mhm.
schemata, aren't concrete pieces of knowledge.
Right.
You can't directly perceive them.
Okay.
They're more like abstract frameworks
What?
that organize our knowledge.
So they help us make sense of new information.
Yeah, it's like having mental blueprints
Okay.
that you use to understand new things.
Mhm.
And because they're so abstract,
Yeah.
people often use metaphors to describe them.
Yeah.
One common one is schematas are like the software of the mind.
The software of the mind.
Right.
Okay.
Especially coming from AI research,
Mhm.
it's like opening a word processor.
Okay.
You get that default setup.
Like the margins
The margins, the font, everything's already there.
before you even type anything.
Exactly. And schemata are thought to work similarly.
Okay.
They provide these default expectations
Okay.
and variables that get filled in from memory.
Okay, so it's like a template.
It is like a template,
Yeah.
but this analogy,
Yeah.
it also highlights a problem
Okay.
in these theories.
Mhm.
Schemata aren't just like computer programs. They are metaphorically conceived as computer programs.
Running in our heads.
Right. So it's still that same computational view.
And there's also disagreement about
Yeah.
what schemata are actually made of.
That's right.
Like they're basic components.
Yeah, some theories say they're built from propositions.
Okay.
Others say they're made of smaller schemata,
Okay.
all the way down to these basic units,
Okay.
whose form is never really specified.
So it's kind of a mystery
It's a bit of a mystery.
what those basic building blocks are.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Rumelhart and Ortney,
Mhm.
they have this famous example
Right.
of a face schema.
Okay, a face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they describe it as a network of nodes
Okay.
located at coordinates in space.
Okay, so it's like a mathematical representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are subschemata for eyes and mouths.
Okay.
But those are also just mathematical locations.
So there's no actual visual representation,
what-
no picture of a face.
It's all abstract.
Yeah, it's very abstract.
And then there's the circularity problem,
Right.
where some theories say
Mm-hmm.
that the basic elements of schemata,
Might be propositions.
which brings us back to square one,
Exactly.
right back to those abstract symbols.
And Johnson Laird tried to address this
He did.
with his concept of a mental model,
Mm-hmm.
which was supposed to include
Yeah,
both propositions and mental images.
right.
But even that
Yeah,
still had that computational architecture at its core.
it did.
So it's like both propositions and schemata,
Mm-hmm.
they struggle with this really fundamental question
Yeah.
of how these abstract symbols become meaningful.
How do they connect to our actual experience?
Right, because I can't just have these symbols floating around in my head.
No.
They have to be grounded in something real.
That's the argument of embodied cognition.
And Sadowski and Paivio really highlight this.
They do.
They say that these abstract symbols can't just gain meaning
Right.
through connections to other abstract symbols.
They have to be linked to our experiences in the world,
Right.
to the nonverbal reality.
And Searle's Chinese room thought experiment
Yeah.
really gets to the heart of this.
It's a classic. So imagine someone in a room
Okay.
who doesn't understand Chinese,
Okay.
but they have this detailed rule book
Okay.
for manipulating Chinese characters
Okay.
so they can follow the rules
Mm-hmm.
and produce responses
Okay.
that might fool people outside
Okay.
thinking they understand.
But they don't actually understand.
Not at all.
They're just manipulating symbols.
Right.
Based on rules.
Yeah. And Searle's point was that just manipulating symbols
Yeah.
doesn't equate to genuine understanding.
Right. You have to have that
You
connection
need that
to
connection.
the actual meaning.
Yeah, to the real world.
And there have been counter-arguments from AI folks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like people who believe in strong AI.
Right. They say that if a computer can simulate understanding
Mhm.
so well that it's indistinguishable from human understanding,
Yeah.
then it does understand.
In a functional sense.
Right.
But even then,
Yeah.
these computer simulations, they haven't really been able to fully replicate human comprehension.
No, they haven't.
Like there was that study by Glenberg and Robertson
yeah.
using LSA, latent semantic analysis.
Yeah, that's a system
Mm-hmm.
that represents word meaning as mathematical vectors.
Okay.
But they found that it couldn't distinguish between
Okay.
sensible and nonsensical sentences
Okay.
based on physical affordances.
Where affordances?
So affordances are
Yeah.
what objects allow you to do.
Okay.
Like a chair affords sitting,
Right.
a hammer affords hammering,
Okay.
and so on.
So LSA couldn't tell
No.
that I could use a newspaper to shield my face from the wind,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't really use a matchstick to do that.
It didn't get that
Yeah.
because it's missing that embodied understanding.
Of how things work in the real world.
Exactly.
And the embodied perspective argues
Yeah.
that meaning isn't in the symbols themselves,
Right.
but it's grounded in our experiences.
And our multisensory experience.
So it's about what we see, hear, touch, taste, smell,
And how we move.
and how we move our bodies.
Yeah, it's all connected.
So it's not just about abstract thought.
It's about the whole package.
Yeah.
The whole embodied experience.
And this is really important for educators.
Absolutely.
You're trying to help learners
Mhm.
develop a deeper understanding.
Because we need to consider those embodied aspects.
Okay, so this brings us to
Yes.
some of the key embodied theories that
Oh.
have been proposed.
Let's talk about them.
And we can see how they actually explain
Mhm.
how we make meaning.
Okay.
And you mentioned Lakoff and Johnson earlier.
I did.
So what are their main ideas?
Okay, so Lakoff and Johnson,
Yeah.
they wrote a book called Philosophy in the Flesh,
Okay.
and it really laid out some fundamental principles
Right.
of embodied cognition
Mm-hmm.
that are relevant to how we understand language
Right.
and the world.
Okay.
They highlighted 3 major findings
Okay.
from cognitive science.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is embodied.
Okay.
Second, most of your thought processes are unconscious.
Okay.
And third,
Yeah.
abstract concepts are largely understood through metaphor.
Metaphor.
Yes.
So, like, when I compare one thing to another
Mm-hmm.
to make a point.
Yeah, but they're saying
Yeah.
it goes way beyond that.
Okay.
They argue that metaphors
Mm-hmm.
are fundamental to how we understand abstract concepts.
Okay, so it's not just a literary device.
No, it's much deeper.
Give me an example. Okay, so think about the phrase
Yes.
seizing an opportunity.
Okay.
We're using the metaphor of
Yeah.
purposes being like physical objects.
That we could grab.
Exactly.
But
Or we say something falls into a category, like it's a container that things can be in or out of.
So categories are containers.
Yeah, and even time, we say time marches on.
Right.
Like it's a moving object.
Okay.
So even something as abstract as time is often understood through these embodied metaphors.
That are based on our physical experience.
Exactly.
So our abstract thought is anchored.
Grounded.
In these concrete ways of thinking.
Yeah, it's not just floating around up there.
And they actually found evidence for this in the brain.
They did.
Yeah.
Research has shown that when you think about abstract concepts, brain areas involved in the related sensory or motor experiences are often activated.
So it's like the brain is simulating those experiences.
Yeah, in a way.
To understand the abstract concept.
And remember that study we talked about earlier about leaning forward?
Yeah.
Activating brain areas linked to positive motivation?
Right.
Well, that aligns with the desired object metaphor.
Okay.
Lakoff and Johnson even argue that logical reasoning itself can be understood through the container metaphor.
Okay.
They say we have these unconscious structures called image schemas that organize our thought around these metaphors.
And these image schemas, they're embodied.
They are.
Meaning they're based on our physical experience.
Right. They're not just abstract rules.
And Lakoff has even developed a neural theory of thought and language, which suggests that these metaphorical mappings are actually part of our brain's wiring.
Yeah, deeply embedded in our neural circuitry.
Okay, so Lakoff and Johnson are saying that abstract thought is rooted in these embodied metaphors that come from our physical experiences.
That's the gist of it.
What about Barsalou's theory of grounded cognition?
Okay, so Barsalou, he proposed this idea that our knowledge is grounded in what he calls perceptual symbol systems.
Okay, perceptual symbol systems. What are those?
So these systems, they come from our sensoromotor experiences. Everything we see, heard, smell,
and how we move.
Exactly. And perceptual symbols are like the basic units of information created when we pay attention to these experiences.
Okay, so it's not just about passively experiencing things.
No, it's about actively attending to them.
And then those symbols, they become the building blocks of our knowledge.
And we can reactivate them to create simulations.
Okay.
Which is how we understand concepts.
So give me an example.
Okay, so when you think about a lemon, you're not just accessing a definition.
Okay.
You're mentally simulating the experience of seeing its yellow color.
Okay.
Feeling its texture.
Yeah.
Smelling its citrusy scent.
Yeah.